So I wanted to talk to you about the JLARC reports. There were two higher ed JLARC reports that were released earlier this fall, and one was focused on higher education institutional viability. The other was on spending and efficiency in higher education. And you may have noted that in these reports, UVA WISE was rated as a moderate risk level and institutional appeal risk factor for pricing power. And one of the factors that they put into that was a 17%. So I think we've had some impact there as well. So I wanted to talk to you about the JLARC reports. There were two higher ed JLARC reports that were released earlier this fall, and one was focused on higher education institutional viability. The other was on spending and efficiency in higher education. And you may have noted that in these reports, UVA WISE was rated as a moderate risk level and institutional appeal risk factor for pricing power. And one of the factors that they put into that was a 17% decrease in tuition revenue per student. And so I just wanted to talk to you about this. This report, the timing of this report covered falls of 21 and 22, which were just past COVID. If you noticed, our numbers where enrollment began to increase, it started the year after this report was done. So we've had great enrollment increases. So I don't think the risk that we have is as high as what they were thinking. And I'll kind of talk to you about that in a few of these slides here. So just talking about the data. So highlighting the timing. So in 2022, the other thing that happened at WISE was that was the year that the Commonwealth invested $12 million into the college. So when you're looking at funding levels as compared to student numbers, we were given those dollars so that we could grow the enrollment, to invest in programs. We invested in the creation of our Little Cavaliers Early Learning Center or Child Care Center at the college. We added some new academic programs, increased student support services. So we're seeing the benefits of that increase in funding, but when they were looking at funding per student in this report, it looks like we're really funded a lot higher. But as we're growing now, that is becoming more balanced. And, you know, we've made a lot of progress to increase our enrollment. So we've reduced staffing during the years that they reviewed us. We've achieved efficiencies through UVA WISE collaborations, such as we've just implemented Microsoft 365. So now we're on the UVA contract for that. So that is an efficiency. We've just implemented Canvas for our student LMS system, which again is a piggyback off of the contract with UVA. So Workday we implemented when UVA implemented Workday. So all of these efficiencies have been great for the college as we're moving forward, and has saved money across both institutions. So I think that's important. And if you look at the UVA WISE price points, we are fairly reasonable across the Commonwealth, which is intentional for our students to come to UVA WISE. And our faculty have actually just updated the liberal arts core, which makes it a lot more attractive for students to transfer in. And it's a little bit more streamlined for students to graduate from UVA WISE. So a lot of work has happened from the faculty in that regard.
Don, a question for you. The staffing reductions, have those been intentional or just the normal result of attrition?
It's been a little bit of both. So we did an early retirement incentive program and had a number of faculty and staff take advantage of that and retire. We committed to taking those dollars and reinfusing them in areas where we needed support positions, but we also took some of those dollars and just reinvested them into programmatic needs that we had as well. So that has been very intentional. And now each year that we're growing and we actually have increased tuition revenue that we can invest, We, as a senior leadership team, look at those dollars, and then we prioritize where we can spend those dollars based on, really right now, we're looking at retention, and we're looking at graduation rates. So want to ensure that we're really investing those dollars where it's needed. And then making sure the other piece is that our enrollment management group through marketing actually has had some funding from UVA to help get those things up and running. And so we want to get off of those dollars and be totally self-sufficient. So we're investing some of these new dollars there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this slide looks at spending and efficiency in higher education. And as you can see, UVA-wise is, I think we're that second bar to the left down there. And looking at these numbers, it shows that the students that they depict in that dark blue bar are students who receive scholarships and financial aid. And so they typically pay 27% of the total cost of attendance. And so that, for us, is very important because many of those students are from the lowest socioeconomic strata, but it does not include students who are not on financial need or merit-based. So anyway, but our philosophy is to keep student costs as low as they can just because of our population of students. And so this is sort of our journey of getting to where we are. You know, in our building years, we deployed the Within Reach program, which said early on, if your family made $40,000 or less, we would promise to pay all of your tuition and fees. This year, we increased that to a family income of $80,000 a year. And so we cover all financial needs for those students. The ARC legislation has given us a broader recruiting area within a 3-hour radius of UVA-wise. And then we're going to talk to you in just a minute about the growth of our endowment and how that has helped. So in the 22-23 year, we got an infusion of funds from the General Assembly, and our total enrollment recruitment went digital and removed barriers for students to apply. So now we have some new undergraduate programs, tourism and hospitality management. We had the level change to master's granting, and we have continued partnerships with our community. So this is sort of where we're headed. We've seen successes, and we're going to keep the pedal on the gas to keep moving forward in good ways. So, any questions? Yes.
So Donna, Amanda and I have talked about this, and I think you and I have had a brief conversation, but I want to just make sure it's still on everyone's radar. Thinking about pipeline programs for WISE students into graduate programs at UVA. Do you have a sense of the level of interest, and if so, which particular areas? So, I mean, I think the way to start would be to start with a pilot in 1 or 2 schools, but I'm just curious if you have an instinct about what would be most attractive to WISE students.
Well, I'm going to phone a friend because Ian and several deans came to WISE this fall and really talked with our provost, Gary Johnson, who's here with us today, about possibilities of programs and joint programming. And I'm not quite sure how much you talked about the graduate programs, but I do think that that would be very attractive and actually would help us to recruit a student who could say, I'm going to UVA-wise for this degree, and then with the possibility of continuing at UVA in graduate school. So Gary, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think the ones that would probably be of most interest right now would be some of the health professions programs. We do have a lot of students in our natural sciences that are looking to go into medical school, PA, PT, those sorts of programs. I've also talked to a lot of students who are interested in Baton School as a possibility as well, and then some of our business students would certainly be interested in Darden.
Those are great points in talking to Imagine partnerships, and we can follow up, Gary, as you say, sort of Baton, McIntyre, and we are working on building something that we're thinking of as a healthcare highway. which is a sort of an integrated program from students even before they get to college across the Commonwealth, still in the high school years, through their undergraduate years, through thinking about graduate education, different on-ramps. So that'd be great. We can follow up and happy to see. And Jim, I like the idea of a pilot rather than just trying to sort of scattershot it, find 2 or 3 champion deans. But thank you again for hosting us. There were 7 or 8 deans who went down and spent the day, and it was a fantastic visit. So Donna and Gary, thank you.
Yes.
For all your
Yeah,
comments.
thank you for coming. It really was a good day. And I've continued to hear from all of the deans who I took on a golf cart tour of campus that it was the highlight of the trip. So if any of you come to Wise, I promise I'll get you out on the fancy golf cart. And
It's quite
hopefully,
fancy, I can attest.
Best I've ever seen.
so, anyway. Any other questions for me about that? But the long and short is we understand the report, we understand how we show up in that, all the JLARC reports, but I feel like we're going to move beyond that pretty quickly.
Excuse me, but how susceptible are you guys to the enrollment cliff that's?
You know, we
Around the
are, and if you would have asked me the past 11 years of my chancellorship, what are the things that keep me awake at night, all top 3 would be enrollment. Because in addition to the enrollment cliff that's hitting everybody right now and next fall, our demographics have been in decline in Southwest Virginia. And when I got to Wise, that was our primary recruiting area. So we were recruiting from an area that was projected to decline 30% over the next 10 years. So we have been working steadfastly on that, which is why I think right now we're ahead of the curve, because we are doing things really to recruit students in that are above and beyond. So, so with our student population, we were waiving the fee that you had to pay to apply for 90% of our students, but we still had a fee. So we've just taken the fee off the board because, you know, it was a barrier to students to apply because they'd have to apply to get the fee waiver. So things like that have just allowed students to apply. So our applications right now for next fall are already at 3,000. We averaged 1,000 applications a year for the past 10 years. So we're hitting different populations. Last year we had over 6,000 applications. So, so I think we're doing well. I think that if you ask Jeff Baylor, who's ahead of this, he would say he's still cautiously optimistic that we can continue to grow. But I think we're doing all the right things.
This is good. Just to build on that for 1 second, David, Marvin, Dan, Porter, Rachel, and I were at the Chev training. We had the good fortune of doing that a couple weeks ago in Virginia Beach. And a lot of the time was spent talking about the demographics. And I would say it sounded to me, I mean, we don't have that problem at UVA Charlottesville at all, it doesn't look like, but lots of the institutions were wringing their hands as it being sort of an existential threat. And obviously, so I think that was a good question you asked, David, and it's probably why it was on your mind, I guess. But
Exactly.
I think that is something to keep an eye on, and you guys are doing the things to get, like you said, if you're ahead of the game. But the numbers were unbelievable, and I mean they were talking. I mean, some of the big state universities, feel like they're looking at 15 and 20% drop-offs, and it's just the wave is massive. Just if you just look back kindergarten through 12th grade and all that, and how it follows in. But somebody was worried about it. Chev, I can tell you that.
Is there an expiration date to that? Like, is there a back?
They weren't talking about an expiration date. Maybe there is. I don't know.
So it's going to fall and stay there for the foreseeable future?
And 2025 is the big drop-off year when it goes down, and I think that's the lowest. And then it'll stay level for a little bit, and then it start to go up again. And this is straight births, the birth numbers that they're looking at. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, the ones who survive will be that much stronger, I think.
Right. And the small private liberal arts schools are really struggling right now. And I have colleagues who are really just trying to figure out if they can weather this. So, yep. Okay. So we are going to move on. I'm going to introduce Valerie Lawson, my colleague from UVA Wise, who is our Vice Chancellor for Advancement. She's an alum of UVA Wise with a Bachelor of Science in Business and Public Administration, and she holds a Master of Higher Education Administration and a Certificate in Fundraising Management from North Park University. So Valerie, I'm going to turn the program over to you.
Thank you, thank you. It is a privilege to be here this afternoon on behalf of our Advancement and Alumni Engagement team at UVA Wise, and also representing our campaign co-chairs, Rhonda Perkins and Louie Lee, to share that we have received the largest gift in the college's history. This is the second record announcement during the Honor the Future campaign. The first largest gift came in December of 2017, and it was in the amount of $10 million from the Hunter Smith Family Foundation here in Charlottesville. And it was to create the Carl W. Smith Bicentennial Scholars Program, which has been transformational to the students that have received that scholarship. The recent gift is coming to us from the Bill Gatton Foundation, which is located in Bristol, Tennessee, which is about an hour southeast of UVA Wise, and it is in the amount of $11.2 million. It does include $4.5 million for the Bill Gatton Scholars Program, which is being matched by the Bicentennial Initiative. And I can tell you that it's very transformational. I want to talk a little bit about Bill Gatton himself. He passed away a couple of years ago. He was an amazing man. He was a self-made entrepreneur, and who later in life became a philanthropist, and that was a role I think that he cherished, and he really wanted to make a difference in the lives of people, and he's going to do that at UVA Wise. Our relationship with Bill Gatton goes back about 3 decades, and actually includes Marvin and Richard Gillum, who did a lot of work with Bill Gatton. Later, he was introduced to our former Chancellor, David J. Pryor, and our advancement team member, Winston Ely, and they all became very good friends. And he learned about UVA Wise, and he did, Chancellor Henry had an opportunity to get to know him as well. About 15 years ago, he created the first endowed scholarship at UVA Wise, and so I think at that point, he developed a love of our school and our students. And Chancellor Henry and I have developed a very strong relationship with the Bill Gatton trustees that are carrying his legacy forward, and we look forward to having a very long relationship with them. On Monday, November the 4th, we did a public announcement at UVA Wise, and it was one of the most exciting days in my career at UVA Wise, which is 37 years long. And I've had a lot of great days, I can tell you, at UVA Wise. But it was a great day, and it was captured on video, and we are going to share that with you now.
2, 1. Today we announce the largest gift in the history of the University of Virginia's College at Wise. This gift will impact each and every student at our college, helping them to access a premier education and take advantage of all it has to offer. The gift will fund the college's greatest needs, which means it will make a difference in students being able to pay their tuition, continue their study if they run into emergencies, succeed within their academic program, and gain vital experience through hands-on learning that will help them throughout their careers as they lead fulfilling lives. The donors of this gift understand and share the vision that UVA Wise carries out: to build a community of learners with the drive to serve and lead in their communities, the nation, and the world through excellence in teaching, personalized attention, and commitment to individual growth. Their generosity will positively impact our daily work to lift up students and our communities through higher education. And we thank them. Thank you to the Bill Gatton Foundation for your transformational gift to UVA Wise.
Thank you so much for everything you've done.
Thank you for your contribution that allows our students to be able to go to school and not have to worry about financial contributions.
Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all your support.
Thank you.
It was a great day in the life of UVA Wise, I can tell you. Now it is my pleasure to share with you that we have surpassed our $100 million campaign goal. As of this morning, we are about $240,000 beyond $100 million. So every gift counts at UVA Wise. Our top priority in this campaign has been to endow scholarships. Scholarships really do make a difference at UVA Wise, as Chancellor Henry said. And we have, our initial goal was $35 million, and we've raised $45.1 million. And I will say in large part because of the Bicentennial Scholarship Initiative, which has inspired donors to make larger gifts than they normally might have made. So again, thank you for that. In academics, we've raised about $20 million, athletics approaching 18, a little bit over 18, and our great ideas 14.2. So all of those funds have been very transformational to UVA Wise during the campaign, and we are still working very hard between now and June the 30th to raise additional support, both our advancement team and our campaign cabinet. So next slide. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the impact of the Bicentennial Scholars Initiative. Thus far, we have created 94 new Bicentennial Scholars Funds. That includes 13 which have qualified for the 100% match and 81 that have qualified for the 50% match. We have 2 in the signature process as I speak, and that will add another one at the 100% match and another one at the 50% match. So that totals $30.5 million. And the bicentennial matching funds that we have received and will receive as pledges are paid is $26.7. So the total impact on our endowment is $57.2 million. And I want to say $57.2 million one more time. That is incredible to UVA Wise. We cannot thank you enough for that support. Our endowment now sits at $166 million. And once the Bill Gatton Foundation fulfills its pledge, that'll add another $10 million to the endowment for scholarships. And we ran a report last week, and currently 78% of our endowment is designated for scholarships. And we need to raise more money for scholarships because, as Chancellor Henry said, our students are worthy and deserving. And that is our goal, is to continue to do that. Let me skip forward myself. I do want to say a heartfelt thanks to President Jim Ryan and the Board of Visitors for creating the Bicentennial Scholars Fund. Your wisdom in doing that has really changed the lives of students that are at UVA Wise now and will be at UVA Wise. And honestly, thinking of the enrollment cliff, that is going to be the difference for UVA Wise. I truly believe it. That is going to help Jeff Baylor and his team to continue to recruit and retain students. I do want to take just a minute to offer a word of thanks for 2 of UVA's vice presidents who have impacted fundraising at UVA Wise. The first is Mark Llewellyn, and I'm sorry he's not with us today, to hear me say we are so grateful for him. Since he and Dave Martell first visited the campus, not together, those were at different times, they both fell in love with the mountains. They fell in love with the college. They fell in love with the faculty, staff, and students that we serve. And they have used all of their resources to help us in every way. And Dave, specifically in helping us to stand up our marketing and communications department. I cannot tell you how laser focused they have been on supporting the advancement efforts at WISE. And it has made a huge difference. So I want to say thank you to you all for your support. We really appreciate it. Okay, so that's all.
Is that it?
Yep.
So you're going to give them the big number, the total impact of the campaign?
Is $126,913,330.
So the 100 million we had to raise on our own, but then the matching goes on top of it. So it's just, it really is transformational.
It is.
For the college.
It is. Thank you. Thank you for your support.
And I would just like to take the opportunity to thank another generous benefactor who's sitting around the table here for his and his wife's support of UVA Wise. So Marvin and Marcia Gillum and their foundation over the entire Honor the Future campaign and before have given to the college, but we totaled the impact of their giving for the Honor the Future campaign. And I don't know whether all of you are aware, but Marvin and Marcia both have a long history with the college and with UVA. Marvin, as you know, is a UVA alum, but he grew up at UVA Wise, what was Clinch Valley College. His mom taught art at the college, and so as a young boy, I'm told, he ran around campus and really just enjoyed being at the college. His wife, Marcia, who is our college board chair, is an alum of UVA Wise, and she is a very successful businesswoman on her own. So their Honor the Future giving, their gifts total $5.634 million, which is huge. And they did fund a couple of bicentennial scholarships, and so their bicentennial match is $2.483 million. So total giving impact is $8.1 million for UVA Wise. So that's huge. Thank you.
She's just saying that to encourage everybody else at the table to pull out your wallets and.
But thank you so much.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Valerie. All right. And now we're going to turn the program over to Karen Carter to talk a little bit about what's going on at UVA Wise. Yes, you do need that. Here you go.
Hi, everybody, and thank you again for having us here. And it's my pleasure to represent the faculty at UVA Wise. And so we have been very busy with lots of stuff going on. That's not me.
Oh, it's coming.
Is it?
They'll get to you.
Okay. So while it's processing through, I'm sorry to go on in. We've got lots of stuff going on as far as student enrollment processes with our students continuing on with research, study abroad programs, and a lot of community outreach. We're trying. It looks like that. You got it?
It's in our book. You just want to start talking about you can use my slides?
I can't. I just hate to, the pictures are worth 1,000 words, He's getting it. He's working on it. Well, we'll let them catch up. Can I use yours?
Yes, sure.
May I? So we had a Kids Day in STEM H. I know it'll pop up here in a second. So this is something that we do every year, and we've done it since 2019. This is an outreach to, we were talking about earlier, reaching back into the school. So this hits our 6th graders. That's a pivot year for them to decide, what is it that I'm going to do, and try to spur their interest in STEM H, science, technology, engineering, math, and health. So the event has grown so large that we have over 500 kids. So we've had to, per year. So we can't do all of the schools, so we separate them out. So this year we worked with Lee County, Scott County, and the city of Norton. Next year we'll do Wise County, Dickinson County, and Russell County. And we also reach out to Jenkins, Kentucky, and bring students in. But this year we had 478 6th graders that were there. We had 57 teachers that were there, from science to, depending on what their disciplines were, but they brought all their 6th graders in. And then 123 UVA Wise student volunteers. So we use those volunteers to not only community engage with these students, but to talk about what are they doing in their programs of study, how are they outreaching. Oh, we're up. Here we go. So it is sponsored by Appalachian Power, and so they give us a grant every year, and so it's renewable for us. And we had 34 workshops, and if some of you guys have been down to the Pryor Center, so we consume the Pryor Center, inside and out. So we have tractor and trailers coming in with wall climbing for geology. We have drones. We have building. There's all the students there in the prior center, so that, like I said, over 400. So we do color code them. We try to keep up with them, so we know if we had a student go into the bathroom and they lose their group, we're like, okay, we know that they're in the blue, they need to be with Jonesville, and we get them back in. So that's part of the process. We have our student volunteers going along with them and making sure that they're there. So they did things like figuring out how to build a bat powered by a pumpkin. And had electronic dies. They built some slime. They sutured a banana. They flew their drones. They programmed robots to follow a path. So each of the students got the opportunity to go to at least 4 workshops throughout. They're with us from 9 until 2. We are constrained about how long they stay with us because we have to get them back to get them on their buses because we're in a rural area, so it takes a bit. But they all the feedback that we got, they enjoyed it. This is slime day. They love slime. And they also put, they have the chemistry. They blow things up. We blew up some pumpkins doing physics. So it's hard to get all of the pictures in here, but this was just some of the, and they learned CPR. They learned to do pharmaceutical work. Ballard Health is a great supporter of that as well as AEP, Virginia Energy, geological studies, everybody. It's just a wonderful support to bring and show our kids in their area what is the opportunities that they have for STEM-H, not only away, but also if they stay within our area. So it's awesome. ACM is our math and computer science. This is me. Me and Mr. Frazier take a group down for our ACM conference, and so we had 3 students that presented their work and was peer reviewed. So this was in Gatlinburg, and so they all 3 were working in some aspect of artificial intelligence, and so it was awesome to be able to work with other teams from Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and so forth. And 2 of the individuals actually found 2 groups that they're going to continue their research into AI because they were doing one aspect and leading into the next one. So networking and connections is what we're trying to help the students to realize, that they're not working here, but their work can continue on into their graduate level. So they're a great bunch of guys there. And then David presented on instruction and artificial intelligence, and then I presented on disrupting technologies, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So it was a fun day. Chemistry, Dr. Tegan McCall and his student have been accepted to, selected as the preceptor and mentor team to receive the American Chemical Society Division Inorganic Chemistry Award. That's a mouthful, spitting it out, but they're going to be recognized in San Diego next spring in 2025. Dr. Tegan does some amazing things. Sometimes it's amazing to go over and just see the lab and all the changes and so forth. And she has been quite instrumental in a lot of students continuing on into the chemistry and to graduate work. She is amazing. Medieval Renaissance Conference was directed by Dr. Teller and Hannah Ryan, and so they combined the interdisciplinary processes of English, and Dr. Ryan was with the Medieval Orchestra a cappella group, and so we also had our students who were visiting in Canterbury. They were able to, like I said, if one thing had to come out of COVID, a good thing, everybody is comfortable with Zoom, no matter the time zone or anything else. So we had 3 students that were in Canterbury that were actually able to come in and be a part of our medieval foundational work. And then Dr. Ryan, there's the Canterbury student, and then Dr. Ryan directed our a cappella group with the medieval period Renaissance music. So very busy and very productive with those. We also have Dr. Peter Ryan. He is our associate professor. He works with our Symphony in the Mountains. And if you haven't ever had the opportunity to experience that, that is an awesome event that they work with. They bring together a lot of musical talent in our area. Work collaboratively with Mountain Empire, so we have a lot of folklore music, and so Dr. Ryan is an exceptional pianist, and he just got through performing down in Whitesburg, Kentucky, and will be performing again at ETSU in Tusculum with some other musicians. So he is outstanding. If you ever get a chance to come down and listen to them, they are awesome. Speaking of our Canterbury study abroad with Dr. John Mark Adrian, he should be coming back in this weekend, right? Yep. So Chancellor Henry, you might recognize her there in the red coat. She had a chance to go over and visit, and the students were excited to have a visit from the Chancellor. They were very excited that she dropped by to see them, and so they spent 10 weeks studying with the university there in the UK. So they have the opportunity to take classes and learn from those folks as well. So this is something that we're doing annually, and it has great involvement with the Peaks Honors Program, and it's always well received. And Dr. Mark does a wonderful job with them. Spanish Day, Dr. Joseph Kern helped to sponsor, he's one of our Spanish instructors, so they invited 196 high school students around and they had a Spanish Day. Everything they did was in Spanish. They did games, they did dance, they did music, they did dominoes, obviously here. It was a full day event. If you've ever been to our student center, they basically took over the student center and everything was in Spanish. So it was well received, and it actually got our students on campus. And so that was one of the number one things, is we can get the students on campus, they generally want to come back and stay with us. So we try to do a lot of outreach to bring those students onto campus. Dr. Heather Evans is our professor in political science, and she, one of her new classes this year was American National Politics. They had a lot to discuss this year. Very, very enriching class. So they did a simulation where throughout the course of the program, they actually pretended to be a member from Congress and how they would act and how they would interact and how they would vote. And she culminated it by taking 14 of them to DC to go see an actual session with Congress, and they got to meet Congressman Mark Warner, and she has a new book coming out, Chicks Who Tweet. It'll be out in December. So she does a lot of research with tweets and how the Twitter has affected, now known as X, how it affects how we socialize, interact, and especially in the world of politics. We have a lot of study abroad. We were just talking about Canterbury, so we have a lot coming up over the winter break. We have a group that's headed to Belize during December the 14th through the 21st, and they'll be working for community service there. During spring break, we have 3 groups going to Scotland, Southern France, South Africa within their process. And then during the summer, we have a group going to Iceland, and I'm very jealous. I would definitely love to go there. One of the places my husband was active duty, I would have loved to get stationed there, but we never got a chance. So I'd love to go and visit, so I have to hop on the plane with them. And we have a group going to Greece and a group going to London and Paris. So they are registering for these classes, and they have to do preliminary work with each one of these faculty and learn a little bit about the culture and the country that they're going to visit before they get to go. So it's a very much a cultural, experiential learning experience, and then to go in and experience it firsthand. So this is probably the largest, it is the largest group of study abroad approved trips that we've had ever, Candace was telling me. So this is awesome. So we have a lot of opportunity, and we have a lot of scholarships for our students too, because as we said, cost sometimes is prohibitive, so we're trying to make sure that not having the money so they can do additional work, they can apply for scholarships to help pay for this process. So those are filling up quickly, so awesome. So we've been pretty busy. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions? Okay.
Okay. Well, I think that it's safe to say that that was all fabulous news. And I know that I speak for everyone in the room to say that we are so incredibly proud of the College at Wise and all of the great things that are happening there. So thank you all for your time. And this will wrap up our meeting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be back in a few minutes, I guess.
Yeah,
If I walked away with it.
Apple lunch or something. We're looking for it.
Yeah.
Do great things. I mean, I really hate this. Wonderful. And it's also beautiful. I'm really voting up on you.
Oh, I like to be precise on that.